So I'm Amy Collins Warfield. I'm a PhD candidate in agricultural communication, education, and leadership. I am also a full-time academic advisor at Ohio State for a program called Spring Forward. Normally, in-person classes in an in-person setting, I like to talk to the people sitting around me and to try to get to know my classmates and my instructors, because I do think it's really important to make connections in grad school. We talk about that in terms of professional networking and connections down the road for getting jobs or reference letters. And that's important, but the social support as a grad student is also really essential because nobody gets through grad school on their own. And so, I felt like I was really missing that when we shifted online. And the funny thing is, as part of my job, I do teach a course for the Dennis Learning Center, EdPsych 2059, Becoming a Self-Regulated Learner. And so I find myself giving advice to students all the time. And had been talking in that class about making connections with people. And I thought I should probably take my own advice, right? So it's important to me to practice what I preach to students, but also, at some point I just started feeling lonely and stuck, especially working full time from your house and then, going and getting dinner and coming back and going to graduate school in your house. It just felt like everything just felt like it was running together, and I just missed the interaction a lot. So I have often encouraged students to get to know their classmates in person. And so we'd been talking together through my teaching of them about how to try to get to know people online through breakout rooms or through chatting in Zoom or on the side, through email, by actually putting effort into your discussion board posts, actually watching the introduction posts on the discussion board that most instructors require, and actually like writing back and forth to people. And so I just thought, I should probably do this myself if I'm telling them to do it. So I just started reaching out to folks, not only in the classes that I was taking, actually responding to people's discussion posts where they were introducing themselves and starting conversations that way. But I also just started paying attention to who was showing up in my classes, because there were some folks who were showing up consistently in the classes I was taking in my program or not. And there would also be people that I would just see that I had a common interest in. So I just put myself out there and reached out via email and said, hey, it seems like we have this in common, whether that's, we're taking the same classes or we're in the same program, or, you talked about this thing in class today that really interests me too. Do you want to chat? And so, sometimes that worked out great. Sometimes someone wasn't interested in chatting, which is also okay too, right? And so for those folks who did want to chat, we would just set up a meeting on Zoom at a convenient time, usually over a lunch break, and just try to connect that way. And so, there were a few students that we ended up exchanging phone numbers, and we'd text each other or Zoom or FaceTime with each other. And then it just got on a roll. And so I want to say that I came out with about 3 or 4 relationships over the last year with folks that I just completely met online through the graduate school experience that I'm still in regular touch with. And of those 4 people, only one of them have I ever met in person in real life, and that was last week. So, we're still going strong, even though everything is online. So I think one thing that we do now to help keep this going is that we always try to set up our next meeting before we hang up on the current meeting, or we hang up and then immediately check our calendars and write back and forth, because you do have to put the effort into that versus when you would show up in class, like you're going to go to class every week. And so that person's going to be sitting there. You actually have to put a little more effort into that, but it's definitely worth it. So these folks, we helped each other get through class, and, got some moral support during my candidacy exam. So that's been really great. And I look forward to meeting them all in real life at some point.